What the hell is that? Nope. Yeah. Folks, welcome back to the shop. Part 2 of the quad range woes. We got the tractor split. As you can see, we split it in an unconventional manner. I've never done a split like this before. I was told by a guy who knows lots better than me that it was possible to split the cab onto the front section of the tractor. So we were able to do that. We supported it in the back with a gantry. One of the guys fabricated these brackets off of the the cylinder brackets, and this is structural tubing into the back of the cab. So we supported it with a gantry, rolled the back end out away. We actually carried it on the A-frame out from away from there, and then set it down on stands for safety's sake. Still parting this thing out. Maybe got somebody interested in the motor. I finally broke down today and I wanted to know what we were selling, so I pulled a rod out of it and a main. Everything looks pretty darn good, so I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. It was a pretty big gamble at the time. And I left the rod and the main down so people can see them. I got videos of it running, so splitting section stands, you can see pretty basic. We couldn't, because of the Rona, we couldn't get manufactured stands. So these are 8,000 pound drop leg jacks just burnt onto a plate bolted to the frame. We could make ourselves an adjustable bracket here, but it's actually fairly sturdy. I have no engineering degree, so it's engineered, but it's just without the piece of paper that says I know what I'm doing. Cut the arms off. You can put a 3/4 whatever on there, spin them around so they don't hit. Stole that idea from the rear cradle, which one of the guys finished up for me. This worked really well. We were physically able to pick the entire thing up with axles, wheels, weights, everything on it, and roll it around. One of the wheels busted. They're probably overweight. They're Harbor Freight wheels. It's the biggest wheel I could get on the notice that I had, because my internal stuff, you probably notice a lot of this is filmed at night, and I fly by the seat of my pants on a lot of our own stuff. So I think what we're going to do there is we'll take those wheels off the next time we need this and cut some blanks, likely out of aluminum, so we don't get that squishy action. So just an A-frame cart, well, not really an A-frame, but sort of an A-frame. Bolted and secured back here, and pinned in through the front. It is not coming off of there. Again, we engineered it as we went, and it worked pretty good. The intent being that you could pivot all four corners up, down, and left, right to line everything up for stabbing it back together and pulling it apart, and then physically run the jacks up and lift the whole thing with the wheels still on it, move it sideways and out, which we were able to do somewhat. It was hindrance of the wheels. That was the one flaw, the one flop we had here. I left these on to give ourselves some accessory so that we could put a jack post in here and do an accessory to support something for future use. Don't have an intent for it, just left them there for that thought. Okay, so we rolled the thing over here. Using our loader, just knocked the axle section with the planetary reduction off, unbolted it, cradled it. We took hub dual, axle housing, wheel weights, wheel center, rim, tire, everything all in one shot. And it actually worked pretty well. It might be a bit of a trick to get it back together, but as you can see in here, when we bought this tractor, it was supposed to have new brakes in it. And looking at that, that all looks real good and to be true. There's still grinding hatching in the discs. You got the plate, the intermediate floater there. This bearing is tore up. That I can still get from Deere. It's like 18 bucks. We're gonna do that. Moving back to the quad housing, the power shiftable 2-speed high-low. The last guy that was in here, rebuilt all this. It all works really good, so I don't want to touch it. This planetary carrier, this goes into that bearing I just showed you. That's chewed up. I don't think it's available from Deere. I think I'm just gonna clean it up and see how a new bearing fits on it, if it's gonna chew a new bearing up. It doesn't support a lot of load, I don't believe. Yeah, obviously it's not transmitting power through it. This, can't really figure that out. It must be to carry oil up through the gear set. And according to the Deere books, it looks like it's two separate pieces and this just sits in here. Whoever was in here last raised it together. And it didn't hold. But as of right, I'm not really sure what the motivation was for that, why do that, but it doesn't appear like it's going to cause an issue. Oh, you got a much better view. This is great to work on now. Get that back. There's D. And you can see the edges of her chewed up. It looks to me like that gear was new when the transmission was done. Again, this was done shortly before we got it. You're pretty sure that this gear, like everything in the top shaft, was new, but something was worn, something let go in the bottom pinion. And I can't light it. We're diddly here. The gear in front of D, you're just gonna have to take my word for it, I think, at this point. Through here, it moves back and forth 1/4 of an inch, and I'm pretty sure there's a busted snap ring or a worn groove there, and something going on there. The big fear now is that the pinion is worn, and that's all one shaft, and that's the big hitch here. And I'm an Oliver guy, so now we're getting back to something I'm familiar with. that bottom shaft, it's not the last one to come out. I believe the counter shaft is, but the carrier has to come out. I'm pretty sure the oil pump has to come out first before the carrier, then the input shaft and forks, and then the pinion. The counter shaft, from my understanding, comes out last. So maybe we'll leave that. Hopefully we'll leave that. But this is my Saturday night, so we're going to tear into it and see what happens. Label everything. Side personal note, lose my bolts. Side personal note, we had a few tractors when I was a kid that, you know, you grow up riding along in the cab with Dad, falling asleep and banging your head on the glass, and for some reason that sticks with you fondly. And one in particular sticks out in my mind. I knew he was going to sell the tractor, and I was going to stamp a few things like the block and the rear end housing, so someday if I could track it down, I could tell right away. And my dad sold the Olivers when he first started farming that my grandpa had bought new. In the '66, he spent, I believe it was 40 or 44 years searching for it. And we finally found it, and there was little nuances with the tractor, but I thought that would make it a lot easier. So from here on out, that's something that I do with our tractors, is I'll stamp them someplace in case I ever want to find and verify that. And I know a lot of people aren't as nostalgic as I am, but it's something to think about. No chunkage, no surprises. God. So, top shaft. Let's get that bugger out of there. Oh, well, that's convenient. Okay, confirm my suspicions here that the last guy beat on this, so that is in fact how it comes out. I'm gonna try and be a wee bit more refined than that. Variable, I'll put a salt hammer to beat the crap out of it. She went a ways and then it stopped, and I don't advise, well, you do it however you want. I'm drawing off of some past experiences on transmissions I am familiar with. This little snap ring here has exposed itself, so this likely floats on here. What is a gear? But I bet you this separates at some point. We need to take that snap ring loose so this can continue to move out. Oh no. There, it's rearing its ugly head.
I don't know if I can do it justice here, but there's a selective washer or something that's folded and bent over this another snap ring that's in here. I don't know how I'm going to get that out.
There's that Royal John Deere engineering. They knew this was too easy. This was too easy. We still love Mother Deere, but man. And I'm sure you all saw it at home, but I didn't. Which I'm sure it's a good thing that the GoPro battery died. You don't know that. Oh yes, of course. The words that one would care to use in this situation might not be suitable for many a YouTube audience. Little known fact about me, but that's a story for another time. Maybe once I'm done breaking this transmission case. That's mechanic humor. Oh, there's chunkage. So now we're starting to get a little bit better view. Some of the damage. Well, we may have found what we saved those sockets for. We might put a stabilizer plate in there so we can mount this vertical I didn't film it for a reason. Scary. Now, we got the thing vertical. Hopefully we can press that, or at least beat in the correct direction, not have to hold the grip. Well, there it is. We're gonna break it off here, I guess, for tonight. I'm bested. I didn't fail to get it out. I've been beating on this thing for the better part of 3 hours, but I've got I don't know, I think it's a bruised rib from the last time I ran a sledgehammer. And so that's reminding me now, currently, that I shouldn't be doing this, but yeah, I guess you got to remember that we're nothing more than a soul driving a meat corpse, and we can't trade it in. So stay tuned for episode 3, and we're gonna get this thing apart.